time out. However, knowing that moving through the forest at night can be tricky, Takeru decides to make that spot their camp. He uses some SS rank underground elemental magic water to ensure Vi stays well hydrated, given that it's mana water infused with the ancient dragon's essence. Apparently, Bulgius linked his item box to that underground lake with magic before they departed, now granting him unlimited access to it. This water is vital for raising a dragon hatchling and drinkable for Takeru. Thanks to this, Vi can drink all the mana water needed for his growth, though he also offers some to Takeru, who accepts it. During the night, Takeru uses some magic stones to create a protective barrier around them so they don't have to worry about monsters while they sleep. According to the encyclopedia he bought at Jerome's shop, magic stones are supposed to be valuable. He uses an effect to warm up the air and manages to create a magic stone in his hand. Takeru can create magic stones with considerable ease. He then utilizes one to ignite a fire, planning to prepare a meal for their dinner. He seasons some meat and throws several ingredients into a pot to make a soup, adding some vegetables on top. Once the meal is prepared, he quickly notices Vi practically drooling over it, so he offers him a small portion, hoping it won't cause any stomach upset. Because of his excitement, the little dragon ends up burning his tongue, so Takeru has no choice but to blow on the soup. Once the little guy gets a good taste of the food, he's immediately enchanted by its flavor. For his part, Takeru thinks it would be boring if his companion only drank water at every meal, so he's glad they can eat the same thing. Still, he asks Vi if he feels lonely being away from his father. The only response he gets is Vi coming closer to hug him, making it clear that he's fine as long as he's with him. Takeru admits that he's incredibly adorable, but upon seeing Vi's stats for the very first time, he realizes this dragon hatchling is actually a devil, given its B rank. His skills are spiritual arts, affine to fire, water, wind, thunder, light, and dark. His gift is the ancient dragon's blessing, with language comprehension and infinite evolution. Takeru cannot believe this adorable little thing is B rank, but he convinces himself that Vi is still a child, and children need proper guidance. That's why he tells him that even if he's stronger than him, he shouldn't do anything reckless. After all, if Bulgius gets hurt, he'll skewer him. Before he can finish his sentence, Takeru realizes Vi has fallen fast asleep, which makes him sigh in resignation because this surrogate father thing isn't so easy. He wanted a cute companion but not a reptile. He was hoping for a girl instead. And he's sure God did that on purpose. You tell God your plans and he'll make sure to ruin them. Barney Stinson. The next morning, Takeru decides to climb back up to the Forest of Ancient Dragons. However, he realizes the place isn't scary anymore, which probably means something happened during the night. He assumes it's one of those mysterious forests, being in another world after all. Vi explores the area happily, so Takeru decides to start gathering materials, focusing on C-rank items. His ability helps him to discover new herbs in every nook and cranny, but his search is abruptly cut short when Vi comes hurtling towards him, utterly terrified. Takeru immediately uses his search ability to find aggressive monsters, and it shows him there are about 7 nearby. Before going into the cave, he believed his scent warded off monsters, so now he's thinking his aroma has worn off. Still, he knows defeating monsters isn't bad. They might have valuable materials. Suddenly, another monster approaches from behind, and Takeru's evaluation skill tells him it's a C-rank rockhawk. It is a large, fierce, carnivorous bird that targets people's eyes with its sharp beak and incredibly swift movements. But as intimidating as it might look, Takeru isn't impressed. It almost seems cute compared to Bulgius. Moreover, he disregards all its statistics, fixating solely on the fact that its meat is rich, sweet and fatty, and its spine can be processed into a fine seasoning. Now Takeru just sees a flying ingredient with legs, so he quickly uses his magic to create a barrier and attack it. After that, he creates ice needles with magic, saying he hates senseless killing, but if he's going to hunt, he'll make it a means of survival. The rockhawk prepares to strike, but Takeru takes it down with just 3 ice needles. However, Vi warns him that more monsters are approaching, though Takeru just sees this as a chance to get more meat. His evaluation skill informs him that these are C-rank snake wolves, fierce and omnivorous predators that attack by extending their snake-like tails, which carry a potent paralyzing venom. Once more, Takeru uses his gift for speed and reduction to lighten his body. Thanks to that, he manages to jump high into the air and uses Harden on his arms and legs to land with a powerful kick, defeating one of the wolves. He uses only his fist to defeat the others, clearing the area in no time. Without wasting a second, he collects all the meat and other materials, but his ability shows many more monsters approaching, which is a pain. Takeru knows he can't fight his way out, and honestly, he doesn't want to. His train of thought is interrupted by Vi, who's desperately trying to get him to move, wanting to lead him in another direction. Even so, Vi lifts him, and Takeru, seeing his strength, uses reduction again to lighten his body. Thanks to this, Vi flies too high in the sky, then suddenly lets go, making Takeru fall. When the small dragon realizes what he's done, he panics and flies down at once to catch him. Takeru lands in the forest again, and when he opens his eyes, the first thing he notices is the fishy smell coming from Vi licking his face. At least he's alive, but the second thing he notices is that they're in the same spot where they camped the night before. Takeru is a bit surprised by how fast Vi flew to get them here, but he knows he was just trying to save him, so he's grateful. However, he tries to remind him that he's probably still human, so it would be better if he took things a little more calmly next time. Vi doesn't seem to get his point, so Takeru just tells him he'll be counting on him again if anything happens. This makes the little dragon very happy, so they both decide to continue their journey. According to Takeru's search skill, Tormi Town is a day's walk from where they are, so they can take their time. Vi notices the stick in his hand. Takeru explains it was in his bag when he arrived, apparently an SS rank branch from the famous Yggdrasil tree. It's a legendary tree that's said to embody the world itself and is currently dormant. When Vi hears this, he suddenly breathes smoke, covering the branch completely. Takeru has no idea what he's doing, but when the smoke clears, he's surprised to see the small branch is now a staff. He assumes it awakened after Vi blew his mana-infused breath on it, but he still has a hard time fully understanding it. Takeru didn't know a materials collector could use a staff, and honestly, he doesn't want to look like some flashy mage. Just then, he hears a deep growl in the forest, so he immediately goes on guard, knowing something must be there. The terrifying sound intensifies, making Takeru assume it's a new monster, but Vi then flies carelessly right into the forest. Takeru panics and runs after him, finding him shortly after, flying around a tree. This makes it very clear that Vi is trying to show him something, and when Takeru gets to the spot, he finds an elf girl sitting against the tree. Her expression is dull, and she's clearly quite weak, leading him to assume a monster attacked her. However, the loud growl from before is heard again, but Takeru is a bit confused when he realizes it's actually her stomach. The girl weakly explains that she hasn't eaten in 3 days and needs water too. Takeru quickly offers her some water, and she desperately drinks the entire bottle, feeling better instantly. However, her smile quickly fades when her stomach growls once more, and Takeru just can't believe that the monster's roar he'd heard earlier was actually the rumbling stomach of a hungry elf. He rummages in his bag, recalling the innkeeper's special packed lunch. Without hesitation, the girl takes the food and starts eating desperately, enjoying every single bite. Suddenly, she stops eating to dramatically exclaim how good it is, saying she feels like she's ascending to heaven from the pure flavor. Takeru clarifies that when you're on the verge of starvation, pretty much anything tastes amazing. The girl is still smiling in ecstasy, telling him she feels revived. Putting that aside, he decides to ask her something, mentioning she's far from town, but not so far that she should run out of food. She explains that she was in a hurry, but Takeru tells her that even if you're in a rush, it's normal to pack some rations, even if you're not an adventurer. The girl doesn't know how to explain herself, but Takeru gets distracted by how bad she smells, and mentions he thought elves smelled like a spring breeze with a hint of mint, but she smells like manure. This clearly offends her, even though she knows he's right, but she tries to explain it can't be helped, since she's been camping for several days. With that said, she suddenly stands up and says she has to go, since she's in a hurry. She thanks him for his help, but lets him know that calling her manure was pretty rude. Takeru and Vi say goodbye as she runs off, and although he's a bit confused by the whole interaction, Takeru decides to keep looking for materials. They take their time collecting as they make their way toward the forest exit. As they're about to leave, Vi notices something. Takeru's surprised by a carriage, but more by Vi spotting it from afar. He praises him for how incredible he is, and when they get closer to the carriage, his appraisal skill informs him that the horse in front of the carriage is actually an E-rank unicorn. Unicorns are native to Eggerly. They aren't especially fast, but they're quite powerful and sturdy, widely used for pulling carriages and carts, and they also make excellent farm horses. Takeru takes a moment to process that in this world, horses are unicorns, but the man in the carriage asks him what he's doing out here. He quickly snaps out of his thoughts to tell them that they are on their way to Tormi Town. The man remarks walking must be tough. Seeing Takeru's staff, he presumes he's a mage. Takeru clarifies that he just collects and trades materials, and the driver tells him it's rare to see a specialized collector. Takeru laughs nervously, knowing he's not actually a specialist, but he's not about to tell him that. The man tells him they're heading back to Tormi and asks if he wants a ride. Takeru thanks him for the offer but warns him that he's pretty big compared to a normal person. Some children inside the carriage laugh and agree, finding it very amusing. Takeru smiles, though he said nothing funny. Still, the lady and kids in the carriage invite him in, so he thanks them. Ever since he got here, children seem to really like him. Still, it helps parents let their guard down too, so he takes advantage of that. The man starts driving the carriage and tells him not to worry about its size, since even with him on board, the carriage is fine. Takeru apologizes for making it cramped, but the man replies that it's okay, since the rule in Tormil is to help each other in hard times. The woman agrees, saying they decided to help anyone who needed it. Takeru thanks them once again, quite surprised that even these young children are traveling despite the inherent danger, which truly makes them incredibly brave. The children are very friendly to him, so he decides to ask what they would do if he were an evil bandit. One of the kids laughs, saying he knows that's a lie because the magic item didn't make a sound. Takeru clearly has no idea what he's talking about, so the woman shows him a small bell and explains that if someone dangerous were to approach, it would ring to warn them. He notices there's embedded magic in the stone that makes the bell ring and thinks he could probably make something like it himself. He suddenly realizes he forgot to introduce himself, so he tells them his name. The woman, Elisa, praises his politeness and introduces her children, Yun, Nan, and Kane. Finally, the driver introduces himself as Porin, but just as introductions finish, Vi makes a sound from Takeru's code because he was forgotten. The children hear it immediately and excitedly ask him to show them what he's hiding. Takeru hesitates a bit, saying it's probably a very rare monster. Elisa then comments on how terribly secretive he's being and reminds him that monsters aren't all that rare, since adventurers often keep them. So Takeru decides to show it. He asks Vi to emerge, telling him not to cause trouble, and importantly, not to bite anyone. Vi immediately shows himself, and while the children are thrilled by how adorable he is, Elisa is clearly shocked. Porin asks if the little guy is a type of dragon, and Takeru tells him it's a black dragon hatchling. He decides not to mention that he's actually the son of the ancestral dragon, since it's probably for the best. Porin assumes he must be a dragon rider then, but Takeru quickly denies it, clarifying that he simply came across a dragon egg. Both Porin and Elisa are completely shocked to hear he actually hatched it, since they didn't even know that was possible. Takeru, with a nervous grin, watches as Vi playfully bats at his face, wondering if dragons truly are such a rare sight. Elisa then explains that dragon riders are a rare sight, but a true dragon is much rarer. Takeru knows a dragon rider is an RPG staple, so if he ever encounters one, he's definitely going to stare intently. As night falls, the carriage stops at a camping spot, so Takeru uses light magic. He also uses the magic stones once more to create a protective barrier that keeps monsters away. He tells them V will alert them if anything approaches, so no need to worry. Porin and Elisa are clearly relieved to hear that. Even the children remain calm, making it quite clear that their trust in dragons is incredibly high. Elisa decides to start making dinner, but Takeru stops her and asks them to let him prepare it as a token of appreciation. Without wasting any time, he places different ingredients into a frying pan, and the children are so amazed they assume he really is a wizard. Takeru clarifies that he just has an item box, but even Elisa is impressed by that. For his part, he decides to prepare his usual special meat soup using fillets from the meat he had left. This time, he also makes a special mushroom and vegetable salad, and everyone is amazed by how good it looks. The taste of the food surprises them even more. Even the children absolutely love it. Elisa praises Takeru, saying he's a very good cook. Porin, on the other hand, is completely speechless. Takeru gets a little worried, asking him if he doesn't like his food, and even Elisa starts to look concerned. After a few seconds of trembling, Porin manages to express how good the food is and even cries, saying that on the road, they've eaten nothing but dried meat day after day. Seeing his children's happy faces enjoying a feast makes him so happy, and now he can't stop crying even if he wants to. Takaru takes a few seconds to process the reason for his tears and can't help but laugh out loud, telling him he's overreacting. Porin abruptly stops crying to accuse him of being a wizard, saying he must be some kind of flavor wizard. Slightly bewildered, Takeru laughs and asks him what kind of wizard that is, since he's never heard of such a thing. The children laugh with him, and to end the night, Porin plays guitar while his wife sings. Vi and the children dance joyfully, and they invite Takaru to join in too. Back on Earth, Takeru never realized that, compared to eating alone in silence, nights like this aren't bad at all. After all, for the first time since coming to this world, he has truly laughed from the heart.